very quickly. Once again, you know, when it comes to the United States, First Amendment, freedom of speech, yeah, you have one, but only when it comes to, you know, bashing Ted Cruz, for example. Then, okay, you have a First Amendment, you know, and you can say mean things about Republicans. But if you criticize the war machine, you know, if you start publishing classified materials, and you know, you happen to be an Australian journalist in the UK, we're coming for you. And it's actually quite interesting because, again, the media never reports this. If you look at what happened in court during Assange's extradition hearing, I mean, the United States is openly saying that, you know, Julian Assange has no First Amendment rights. Okay. Now, again, Julian Assange is not American. He didn't commit a crime in the United States. He doesn't owe the United States anything. But they're saying that once he gets there, if they're able to extradite him, they will argue in court that he has no First Amendment rights. Now, that should scare the shit out of you. That should scare the shit out of you, because they're saying that as a journalist, even as a journalist, he doesn't have them, right? And again, we go back to this double standard where it's like, on the one hand, they're saying, no, he's not a journalist. He's a hacker. Look, he conspired with Chelsea Manning, even though they can't prove it. And even though this event, you know, allegedly took place after Chelsea Manning already gave him all these documents. So they're saying on one hand, look, he's a hacker. And then when you say, no, he's a journalist, they say, yeah, okay, but he doesn't have any First Amendment rights. And they even argued in court that national security should supersede the First Amendment. How do you feel about that? Do you hear about that in the media? Where are all these, you know, First Amendment advocates up in arms about Julian Assange? No? No one? Weird. That's odd. And once again, of course, we go back to, you know, what we were talking about with BDS. Democrats like Ro Khanna, like Ayanna Pressley, they just openly, like, yeah, just openly vote to condemn boycott, divestment, sanctions, right? Which, again, you could argue it's not just an affront on Palestinians' human rights, which I think is the number one issue, because, you know, this is, you know, whether you're on the moon or you're in another galaxy, this is about, it's not about, you know, your country's laws, it's about what's happening to Palestinians. But again, in the US, I mean, you should be very concerned with that, because this essentially means that, you know, you're not allowed to criticize or boycott Israel. And, you know, effectively, you have several states that have passed legislation that, you know, says you're not allowed to engage in BDS. And, you know, you had a teacher, for example, she was fired over it because she refused to sign a clause, an agreement, you know, saying that, you know, she's agreeing never to boycott Israel. I mean, this is a tremendous assault on, you know, freedom of speech, and the First Amendment, and, you know, any semblance of civil liberties and political liberties. It's really concerning. But of course, again, you're not allowed to criticize the war machine. You're not allowed to open your mouth about U.S. war crimes, about torture, about, you know, kidnapping, rendition, or you go to jail for 2 centuries. And if you criticize Israel, we'll make you lose your job. You know, you will make sure that that's also exempt from the First Amendment, right? Again, pretty conflicting. We have an issue here, don't we? Because a lot of Americans, they think that the First Amendment is you know, ironclad. It's infallible. It's you know, it's uncorrupted. It's absolute. No, it's not. It's really not. There are certain things you cannot talk about. You just can't. You know? Weird. So there you go. There you go.